Hey creative friends, it's Gwen. I'm back in the studio working with Storyteller Collection today. I'm going to be making a 2-photo layout that looks just like this, so it's time to get cutting. The cut file that I'll be using today is the August exclusive design for the Cut of the Month members. This one is called Wildflower Background. And by popular request, I am working with 2 photos for this layout. Both of these are 2 inches by 3 inches portrait. You could switch it out for a 6x4 landscape photo. That would work as well. And I do have a bit of a plan. For this layout, I wanted to show you a quicker way to work with cut files, and that is to not back them. You don't always have to back your cut files when working with them on scrapbook layouts. There's just a couple of tricks that you need to keep in mind to be able to do that. So my first tip would be to choose carefully. If you know that you're not going to be backing the design in pattern paper, you'll want to choose one that has interesting shapes in it and that has a lovely open feel about it. If you chose one that was a little more closed in or maybe a little bit simpler, the effectiveness of the look won't be as dramatic. So this sort of style of scrapbooking with cut files will always look better with a more detailed cut file design. The next tip I'll get to in a moment, but first I want to talk a little bit about the design for this page. So I've cut the cut file out really large for this one. I wanted it to fill the background of the layout, and then I've positioned it so that it flows from the top left-hand corner down towards the bottom right-hand corner. My photo is going to go a little bit in the center, but I am going to scooch it slightly more to the right. And that's the sort of the area of the cut file that's maybe a little bit less interesting. There's a bit more dead space there, and I just felt that the photo nestled in there really nicely. So we're going to roll with that. I am making it nice and straight using my T-square ruler, and I am also going to add a bit of liquid adhesive as well as the tape there, just to make sure everything is really nice and secure. I'm then going to go with the flow of the cut file design. I'm going to let it tell me where I should put my embellishment clusters. This particular collection comes with a whole pack of floral die cuts, and I'm going to use those and mix and match those to create a bit of a flowing cluster that is in keeping with the design of the cut file. So the cut file flowers are actually going to be the bottom layer of my embellishment cluster. You can see here that I'm working on the top cluster. This one will become the main one for the layout. And then I'm going to create 2 more at the bottom of the page right there. And then that will essentially become the visual triangle. So the 3 points on the layout, and then the photo will be within those 3 points. As I audition each of the flowers, I'm keeping in mind the mix of the colors on the layout. So not only the colors within each cluster, but how the bolder colors flow across the layout. And I'm thinking about the size of the flower and trying to mix and match that up. And then I'm also adding a couple of flower pieces underneath the cut file just to build out the clusters and to make that cut file feel more like it's an integrated part of the cluster rather than having all of the embellishments sitting on top of it. The second tip I have for you for doing this is to have a really good think about the colors that you're going to be working with. When you don't back the cut file, you need to make sure that you've cut it in a colored cardstock that's going to stand out from the background. So in this case, I've gone with white. I do like white cut files. So I knew that I had to place it onto a background that had a little bit of depth to it color-wise, and that there was going to be some contrast there. The wood grain, I think, is perfect in this case. It's really neutral, but it does allow the white of the cut file to really shine. If you prefer to work on a white background, I recommend that you try mixing up the types of pattern paper that you're going to cut your file with. So you could use just pattern paper from a collection. Those cut files always turn out super pretty. Or you could use a cardstock that's in a solid color that's not white. So you could go with a really striking pop of black, or you could add pastel tones that coordinate with the pattern papers that you're going to be using. The key here is contrast. Because you're saving all that time by not having to back your file, you do want the file to stand out, and the way to do that is going to be through contrast. So as I've been chatting away about that, you can see that I am starting to fill the layout out with some embellishments. I do end up with that cute little camera on the left, and then I was just feeling like it needed a little bit more filling out. I have found that when I do this sort of technique of not backing the cut file, I like to really fill it out with embellishments, and I like the cut file to feel very layered within those embellishment clusters. So I do want to use a couple of extra little leaf sprigs. I'm adding in quite a few of the leaf petals, and I am going to, really fill out those embellishment clusters. I'm also going to have a quick sweep through the die cut pack in the collection. This one's got a bunch of icons and sentiments on it, and I just want to see what options I have there for the rest of the layout. Tip number 3 would be to use coordinating icons. So I have found that this idea works best when I'm using a floral cut file, and then I have floral elements to match with it. If I was using a geometric open cut file, like arrows, for example, I would want to find a collection that has a lot of die cut pieces and elements in it that are arrows that coordinate. When you have similar themes in icons, you'll just find that it comes together so much more quickly, and it'll feel more put together because there's that consistency there. Things are getting serious because I am gluing stuff down. I want to lock in some of these floral pieces. At this point, nothing was stuck down, and it does get to a point where I can't move forward until I lock some things into position. So I'll just systematically go through and add little bits of glue behind everything. I'm very careful not to pull up elements. I'm much more likely to lift the piece and pop the glue directly underneath rather than pick it up like that. I find if I picked up those big floral elements and other elements that I'd placed, they wouldn't go back in the same position, and that would annoy me. With those locked into position, I'm going through now and deciding on my other die cut ephemera pieces. I do add quite a lot more to this layout yet. I was super keen to get a little banner piece on the page, and I did audition one in so many places, but it just didn't fit. There was a couple actually that I tried, a smaller one and a larger one. And I did quite like this little banner flag piece, but I was conscious of covering up too much of the photo. So yeah, that one got auditioned in a few places, but also did not make the cut. The butterflies, however, do make the cut. There ends up being 3 on the layout, and I've just positioned those around the page. I've also pulled out the wood buttons that come in the collection, and I'm going to place those as well. See, here I am trying to audition that banner piece. I really wanted it on the page, but it got to a point where I felt like I was really forcing it, and that's a bit of a red flag for me. And I try and step away at that point and go, you know what? I'll save it for the next layout. I did find this really pretty banner piece. It says, "Hello, love," and I really liked how that nestled in there on the left, and I liked how it wasn't perfectly straight. So the only real straight edges in this page are my border, so the outside edge and my frame there, and then my photo and my photo mat. The little banner piece under the photo says precious moments, and when I added that, I found that the flower there was just a little bit close, so I did reposition that. And I took some time to have a little bit of a think about where the layout was at and just glued down a couple of extra pieces now that I knew that that was where they were going to be. I've also added in a couple of stickers to the right of the photos. That area was a little bit empty, and I feel like just adding those couple of elements has really helped balance out the page. I'm also going to add here in a minute the chipboard hearts and some wood enamel buttons to really add that textural element because the page was missing that up until now. I have gone ahead and added 3 of those just sprinkled around the layout. The butterflies are going to get some added dimension with some 3D foam. I want to show you a couple of close-ups here of the details of the layout. If you like the way that I scrapbook or the way that I chat about the way that I scrapbook, I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up. If you love this collection, be sure to check out this video right here for more inspiration, and I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, bye!